Klippet presenteras av Kalix Maskiner, Centus biluthyrning, Lindroths webbutik och Norrvakt.
Välkommen till Vårat Gäng, en podd av och med Luleå Hockey. Idag har vi med oss Camryn Wong. Welcome here, Camryn.
Thank you for having me.
So what do you say after roughly a month up here in the north of Sweden?
It's been great so far. I think climate's been an adjustment, but I've been saying to other people how like the Swedish culture is really cool because people walk into a room and they like love their job. They like what they do every single day. So kind of having a different perspective in that sense is refreshing.
And how would you say that the climate is different? You're from the Vancouver area?
Yeah. So Vancouver, Canada kind of can get mixed up with it being really cold, but it's actually very rainy and gray. So I'd say it's like close to Gothenburg when we went there. It was gray, like not cold, just, sweater weather type of thing.
Okay. So what do you say hockey-wise about your month here? The couple of games you've had a chance to play and also the practices you've done?
Mm-hmm. It's been really fun, just kind of getting to know the girls off the ice, and then building chemistry on the ice is always something you need to work on, but it was a really smooth transition going into, so everyone's made it really easy for me to kind of get things going and get my feet back.
And then you got a great start also playing Frölunda away and then going into overtime, and then in the final seconds you were there on the far post.
Yeah, I think I got lucky for sure. I think the girls on the ice were really good, and she just set me up, and I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, and that's kind of how it went. So I was glad to start that as my first game.
Yeah, and then the next game we got to see against Leksand, we got to see a goal again from you, but a different one where you were filling in as a defender, joining the rush.
Yeah, I think both my second and third goal were kind of similar, going on the left side, which always, like going on your backhand's really interesting. You never really know what's going to happen, but you can kind of play around with that at the same time. So it was cool. Yeah.
You've showcased your great skating on those goals and also during your play. If we go back in time a little bit, when did you start playing hockey and where did you develop that skating?
Mm-hmm. I started playing hockey when I was probably 4, or I started skating when I was 4, and then picked up a stick and put a puck on the ice when I was about 5 or 6, and kind of played yearly, I guess, throughout. Played a lot of different sports growing up, and I think it's good kind of to play different sports, and you build a lot of skill in different areas, like grip strength, whether it's like gymnastics or basketball, a lot of hand-eye coordination, that type of thing. So I think it's good to play different sports and have one that you're really passionate about. So that kind of led me into hockey.
And growing up in Canada, I guess hockey is one of the top options for kids playing sports?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of people play hockey in Canada. So it's nice when you travel and do different showcases or tournaments, you have like other people to play against. And I think growing up being in women's hockey, though, like it's obviously going to be less. So I was glad that I played boys hockey up until I was probably 14 or 15, and then I moved into the girls' junior team. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how was that playing hockey with the boys? Was it clear that you're going to continue, or did you have any other girls on the team? And
yeah, I think I had 1 or 2 girls that would pop in and out throughout like the 10 years I played boys. But I would say I really enjoyed it because I liked the physical aspect, and I kind of liked like mentally you get off the ice and you forget about things and you move on, like you go on to your next shift. So I think that was really helpful in leading into the women's game, because once you get into like a higher level in women's sports, you start to think about things a lot more, and like you want to do the right thing all the time. But sometimes it's hard to just flush it down the toilet and move on to the next thing.
So what were the other sports that you were doing as a young?
I played soccer, played basketball, tennis, did squash recreationally, pickleball later on. That was kind of for fun, just with my parents and stuff like that. Baseball, softball. I really did a lot of different things, and I loved it though. I did, because you get to meet different teammates, you see different people. So yeah.
So when did you start realizing that hockey was your sport?
Probably when I was 10-ish. I was playing soccer competitively, and they fall in the same season. So by then, I think my coach was kind of like, okay, well, I don't think you can maintain doing like both schedules, because the odd time I would have to miss a soccer game to be at a hockey game or vice versa. And kind of both my coaches came to an agreement where you need to start picking what you want to do. So it was probably around 12 that I was like, I know hockey I want as my main priority. And if other sports fell into different seasons, then I would continue doing that.
And when did you figure out that there was an opportunity to play with the females only?
When there wasn't an opportunity to play with females?
No. When did you realize that that was an option for you? I mean, you played with boys all the time.
Yeah. I would say when I went into the junior women's team, that was kind of my first big like women's opportunity. It was... now it's a lot of like academies, you go to school, you play hockey type of thing, but at the time I was going to a day school, so hockey and my schooling was separate, and we did a lot of traveling through North America, so our weekends were basically playing like 5 games, and I'd fly back Monday, and I'd go to school, Thursday, Friday would be traveling, and it's kind of like that cycle. So it was really similar. It led me into the same routine as college, and yeah, it was a good prep for what I was going to end up doing.
And then you moved across the country from the West Coast to the East Coast to play university hockey. How was that move at the age and everything like that? Yeah,
I think it's a lot to digest at the start, because when you're kind of 17, 18, 19 is a big, I guess, growth year for girls in hockey, and even just like women and your life, like whether you're a boy or a girl, like going from high school into college is kind of a big step. You learn how to be independent. You learn how to do a lot of skills on your own that I guess, you don't have your parents holding your hand type of thing. So I think that was something I admired, and something that everyone should, and if they can like have the opportunity to, that you should do. But yeah, I think my 4 years in college, or I guess 4, took a year off, came back. I guess 5, 6 years in college were great. Like I have 0 complaints. UConn was awesome. Just the whole setup was great.
And if you would describe that program, how is it being an athlete at the NCAA level that you were playing at? Yeah,
it's definitely top tier. I kind of love the competitive nature, and NCAA has a lot of money, it has a lot of structure, so we're able to kind of play in like a professional setting, even though it's not pro hockey, but it's very similar. Like there's a ton of sports at Connecticut too, and so just coming from an athletic school and growing up being in a lot of different sports, it was really fitting for me.
And what did you study when you were at university?
Yeah, I did my I guess I started out in psych, kind of switched it up, business, and then had to reapply back in business school, ended up doing economics, and then I knew I was going to come back for my 5th year, so I got my master's in business administration.
And what do you think about having that base in your life, to have that education for the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really important for everyone to be educated, regardless of what your degree's in, or whether you have a master's or just a minor, that type of thing. I think having an econ undergrad and a business master's should be really helpful leading into kind of the work world, but I haven't done a ton of experience yet, because I kind of just went straight into school, and then hockey.
Yeah. And I guess that background can be useful both if you want to still work within hockey or if you go elsewhere.
Yeah. I think being in business is, regardless of what you're doing, whether it's in sports or operations, or if you're in fashion, or I think any industry, it's going to be applicable for anything in life. So.
And after 3 years at the university, you had a little break.
Yeah.
And you went over to play for Vancouver. How did that end up, and how was that experience?
The experience was great. I think it's tough because being in the Russian league, it's a little bit politically tainted right now, but from my experience, everything was awesome. Like, the culture is great. The people are great within Russia. The food was interesting, but I think it's good always to try different cultures' food. So I have no complaints about that. And my experience in hockey, out of hockey, being with KRS has been awesome.
And that year was also a preparation for the Olympics. How did you find out that you were able to be playing the Olympics for China, that there was a chance?
Yeah, it was about in August. We knew that going into it, it was kind of a centralization camp, so they used the league as a practice to kind of gain experience with all the girls and have everyone in one spot. So I think it was almost like it felt like a 6-month tryout, which can always seem interesting or I guess a little mentally exhausting, but at the same time, like, you're coming in to play a sport that you love and to meet everyone that are really awesome people. Like, you can't take anything back from that. It's just a realistic moment and a great experience overall.
And you had a chance to do it with people with the same kind of background as yourself, as being like North Americans with a Chinese connection.
Yeah. So we had about 12 heritage girls, and everyone came from different ages, kind of different schools. Maybe like their parents are half, or everyone has association being Chinese in one way or another. So I think having that to kind of stem off of was important, and it was bond. Yeah, it was a nice bond to have.
Yeah, and then you also got a chance to play with some non-Chinese who were there playing for the team. For instance, Emma Nordin.
Yeah, that was super cool. Meeting a lot of girls. I think I met most of them in Sochi when we were there, and we did a lot of training, practice games before we went into centralization. But it was nice to be on the ice with kind of what we saw before was like the pro players, and we were all in awe about how their skill level was and how quickly they could kind of move around and puck manage everything. So it was cool.
And then you went to the Olympics. How was that experience like?
Surreal. I always say the word surreal because it's a difficult thing to describe unless you're kind of in it. But it was special, and I saw Emma there, and I saw a lot of athletes that I kind of grew up being in awe about. So Shaun White, to name a few, and it was just a really surreal experience. Did
you get to like share dining halls with those athletes as well, so you could see them up close? Or?
Yeah, so like I said, I saw Shaun White in the dining hall, and it was kind of like, if he's going to eat potatoes, I'm like, I'm going to eat potatoes too, And you see people that like you would see on TV, and it seems like kind of a dream, and you kind of look in the mirror and you're like, reality check, like you're also here. So that's always still shocks me to this day, but yeah, it was a great experience.
I guess it's a special thing to have on your CV to be an Olympian.
Yeah, definitely try to flex it, but I'm also a really humble person, so I'm like, no.
But at an Olympics, there's always this big event to start things up where all the athletes come into the arena. How was that?
Incredible. The Bird's Nest is what they call it, is a huge stadium, and even though it was COVID seating and it was like kind of spaced out, it was still probably the most people I've stood in front of ever. So that was a very special experience, and kind of just walking through and all the lights and all the dancing and the whole setup and all the hours that people put in to get to that point. That was kind of a moment that I'll forever remember.
And how was it being a part of that unity? It must have been like hundreds of athletes for China.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a big. I'm pretty sure we came out last. So big cheers. It was super loud the whole time. We walked behind many countries that we played against too. So it's just nice how sports brings people together.
And after that season, you went back to university to
school.
Play there and finish your studies.
Yeah.
And after you got your graduation, now you've ended up in Sweden.
Yeah.
What did you know about the Swedish league from before?
To be quite honest, I didn't know too much about the Swedish league. I kind of played, I'm a very in the moment person, so when I was at school, it was kind of like, okay, I'm going to finish off the season and then I'll see what happens next season. And I think everything with the P-Dub and the draft, I was like, okay, I think I left UConn where I wanted to be. We ended up winning a Hockey East championship, and I was really happy with where I ended up with my career, I guess. Yep. And then once I finished my master's in August, I was like, okay, I'm ready to move on and start life type of thing. And then an opportunity came up in December, and I was like, I don't think I can deny this. So here I am in Sweden playing hockey.
And your thoughts so far compared to what you expected?
All was great. I didn't really have too many expectations, I would say. I just wanted to come in with an open mind and meet new people and be in a new country and experience something totally different than what I had, like my previous pro experience was. So I think just being open-minded going into it was something I wanted. And
would you say that there are any differences being in Canada or in the US and in Sweden based on this month you've been here?
I would say the culture aspect. Like I said, how everyone comes in, everyone loves their job. You know, people are a little bit more relaxed and not uptight about things. People say things how they are. I actually really appreciate that. But seems like everyone has a good work-life balance and works well together. So the culture's great. The food's great. I went through the city actually yesterday, and Reese and I sat down at a new restaurant, and I saw reindeer pasta, and I was like, okay, I need to try this because I've heard like reindeer or moose. Do you guys call it moose?
No, moose is the elk, and the reindeer is Santa's.
I know. I told my mom yesterday, and she's like, Rudolph. And I was like, no, Mom, it's actually really good.
Both of them are really good.
Yeah. So I felt like I had to try it because every culture has different foods. So.
Yeah. And you seem to be a positive energy kind of person. What do you like to do outside of hockey?
Outside of hockey? I'm trying to think of new hobbies. So I know Scandinavians love knitting. So I got a knitting kit, or not a kit, but I got the needles and 2 yarn balls. And I probably spent like 45 minutes trying to start a beanie, like a toque. Yeah. And I didn't get too far, but I'm still going to keep trying.
You can talk to Julia. She's doing this. I
know.
If you know.
She was knitting a sweater, and Linnea on the team knitted or crocheted a bag. And I'm like, oh, like how do people do this? It's such a talent.
So do you normally pick up new hobbies like this?
I try to wherever I am. I think like hockey just kind of is morning till afternoon or evening-ish, and then after we kind of get the day to ourselves, so I always try to find a new hobby, or I'll try something new in the city, or I'll walk around to a spot that I haven't tried or gone to. So yeah, I'm always kind of exploring.
And what do you like to do in the summers when there's really not hockey season?
Not hockey season. I'd say be with my friends and family for the most part, kind of spending time that I don't get during the 9 months that I'm I guess at school, or for now I guess in season. But yeah, recreationally playing sports. I'll play tennis with friends, go to the beach. Yeah, kind of just quality time with people.
And one of the trainers told me you have a sewing project. How's that going?
Yeah. Yeah, so the Team Bauer shorts, I like short running shorts, and they're really long. And I love sewing and kind of reconstructing different things. So I took the team shorts and I cut 2 inches off the front, cut 2 inches off the back, and then noticed that the pockets were going to be cut. So cut the pockets out, re-sew it back. Pockets might be backwards, but that's okay. No one's going to see the inside of the shorts. So I finished that one, and I made a deal with Oliver. I was like, if I don't finish this by today, I'll help you do laundry and sew all the socks tomorrow.
And if we go back to hockey, we just have 2 more games at the time of this recording of the regular season, and then playoffs comes.
Yeah.
What are your expectations there?
Season happens really quick. I feel like my time here has been kind of short, and it blows by. But obviously we got to be on our A game. Preparation is key. Got to do all the little things that we know we need to do. I haven't played the team that we're playing coming up this weekend, so playing new teams is always kind of a fun experience, getting to know what they're like and blocking off whatever strategy they have on us. So.
But the other teams, I think you've had a chance to play most of those that we could expect to play in the playoffs. How important do you think it is for yourself to at least have played them once so you know more about what the coaches are talking about?
Yeah, I think having played them already is helpful because you know who the players to watch out for and what their strategy is, kind of forecheck, and maybe I need to like look twice and make sure there's not like two coming opposed to one. So I think having experience with teams that we've already played is going to be helpful.
And what are your thoughts about the future? Is the PWHL something that you're really focused on reaching one day?
I think if it came up, it'd be great. But to be honest, I'm kind of more focused on like being in the present moment and finishing the season off on a good note here, and maybe we'll see what happens after that. But I like being in an international country, so it's always fun to try different things. Yeah. And
if you would speculate what you're doing 10 years from now, when maybe the hockey career is over, do you have any ideas what you will do?
10 years from now seems really far, but thinking 10 years, like it's pretty close.
It's not that close.
No, but it feels close because it's like Emma's 31, 32? That's like 10 years for me almost. Yeah. Hey? Time flies when you're having fun, and hockey's fun. So, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll be playing hockey.
Would you be a coach, or do you have like those ideas? Do you think a lot about strategy or leadership or that part?
Yeah. I don't know if I would coach. I think I'd love to be a little kids, like getting people starting to play and that type of thing. But I think post-hockey, I'd probably lean towards entering the workforce and doing something a little different than the sports world. I think I kind of need that contrast to find my love for hockey again, and it's nice to have that balance of two different worlds. So hopefully something in the business world, or like I said, I like sewing, so maybe in the fashion. I don't know.
That sounds good. But at the moment, we want you in the moment, focusing on this season, and hopefully we'll get a really nice ending to it. Mm-hmm. I want to thank you for joining me for this podcast, and wish you the best of luck in the future.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.